Distingués participants, l'ADEA et le rapport mondial de suivi sur l'éducation ont travaillé ensemble pour mettre en lumière le progrès réalisé par les pays et les problèmes critiques liés à l'éducation. Après un travail assidu de mise en place du rapport, l'équipe va maintenant lancer officiellement Born to Learn, le premier rapport de la série Spotlight sur l'achèvement de l'éducation de base et l'apprentissage fondamental en Afrique. Nous avons le plaisir d'inviter sur scène M. Albert Sengiyumva, l'exécutif secrétaire de l'ADEA. Merci.
Thank you, Helen. Let me quickly, I know time is really not on our side. Let me invite Honorable Dr. Valentine Uwamaria, Minister of Education of Rwanda, to come on stage. Let me invite the Deputy Minister of Ghana, John Ford. Can you join us? And let me invite dear Josephine Kienje, the project manager of the Spotlight. Last but not least, let me invite the representative of the African Union as the other partner, Mr. Adumtai. Can you join us here? So let me say hello again. I did it this morning. It is with great pleasure and pride that I'm standing here to launch the Spotlight reports this morning. It's already afternoon, alongside my colleagues that are here present and ministers present. The birth of the Spotlight report has involved intensive work in the past years with first 5 countries, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ghana, Mozambique, Rwanda, and Senegal. I thank them all for their participation, their willingness and dedication that brought to the series, which is evident by the quality and honesty in the reports published today. I also wish to thank our other co-partner, the African Union. I'm extremely pleased to know that the findings we are highlighting through this series can be of benefit to countries across the continent as they feed into the new Land Policy Dialogue Network launched yesterday on basic education. The new research will also, of course, be a critical input into ADEA's Policy Dialogue Forum. The Spotlight series is a unique arrangement. It bridged the global monitoring expertise of the GEM report with the national level experiences, faced daily by countries. It is an exciting new knowledge product for us all in primary education, completion, and foundational learning. And this is only the beginning. A 3-part series. We are delighted to be working with Angola as the next step, Mauritania, Niger, South Africa, Uganda, and Zambia next year, when more positive policies will be brought to light that we can share back with you all here today. More countries will join for sure. We are going batch by batch, so happy to engage with as many countries as possible. So with no further ado, I will hand over to my colleague and especially Honorable Minister Valentine Uwamaria, Minister of Education, Rwanda, one of our first Spotlight countries, who can actually take you through these experiences and lessons Rwanda drew from our partnership this year. Thank you, and Honorable. Yeah, you can sit. Or you can come, whatever you do. Yeah.
I think we are all teachers, and teachers always stand. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here and participate in the ADEA 2022 Triennial to discuss how to build resilience and sustain the development of skills for the continent and even beyond. The Executive Secretary, Mr. Bear, just called me to share the experience, but I think yesterday those who were here had the opportunity to discuss in details about this research that was conducted. But I just want to say that building foundational literacy and numeracy skills for our children is the starting point. Reading and doing basic mathematics are the building blocks for our broader goals. Rwanda has made great strides and reforms over the last 2 decades, and these reforms have led to many successes, especially in access to education for all. But more remains to be done to realize the required education quality. The government of Rwanda has recently made unprecedented investment in education, including the massive construction of classrooms to ease people overcrowding and reduce long distances to schools. And the big part of this achievement was even done during the COVID time, where the country constructed more than 22,000 classrooms, new classrooms, which is equals to the number of classrooms that were constructed for the last 10 years. The recent investment also includes the large-scale recruitment of additional teachers. You may understand having more classrooms means having more teachers, and we've recruited more than 40% of the existing teachers that were there before the pandemic. And the work keeps going on because the more we have new classrooms, the more we have teachers. But having new teachers means also we have to build their capacity. So many partners are involved in building the capacity among the teachers, including the English proficiency as the language of instruction in the country, as well as ICT in education. Building the skills in ICT for teachers is also a priority for the government of Rwanda. So the increased availability of teaching and learning materials as well is highly needed. You may understand having new teachers, having new classrooms, it requires also a good package of learning materials to be available to facilitate the learning, the teaching and learning activities. We are also happy to announce that just this year, not even, it was last August, the government took a decision to increase teachers' salary, and the increases were between 40 and 88%, depending on the level of the teachers. And this also was done for head teachers and deputy head teachers, because we realized that improving the quality means also improving the teachers' welfare. And teachers' salary was on top of different CPD courses teachers are taking. Increasing their welfare was also important to increase the quality of education. I'm delighted to see the Spotlight Rwanda report completed and launched today at this time when the Ministry of Education and partners are working on elaborating an evidence-based national strategy on foundation learning. The findings and the recommendations of the Spotlight will add significant value to this strategy. It is also my hope that the report's findings, the challenges, good practices, examples of innovation can contribute to peer learning across the continent through the LEARN network that was launched yesterday by the African Union. As the Spotlight series expands across countries, together we can make foundation learning and universal basic education completion a reality. Let me conclude by thanking ADEA for welcoming us here this week to discuss such a vital topic. Thank you so much, Excellencies.
Thank you, Minister Dr. Maria Valentine. Indeed, we are talking about quality, but we know the welfare of teachers matter as well. It's so important to invest in teacher welfare and in order even for the constructions of schools to get really a good sense in terms of improving the quality. Thank you for intervention. Let me also invite now the Deputy Minister of Ghana, my dear friend Fojo. You can take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellency Vice Prime Minister and Minister for Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology of Mauritius, the Executive Secretary of ADEA, Albert, my good friend, Excellencies and Honorable Ministers of Education, excuse me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it gives me great pleasure to be here at the launching of the Spotlight Report as one of the first countries to have taken part in the Spotlight Report series with UNESCO's GEM report and ADEA. The report was written on Ghana as a result of this partnership, and that provides comprehensive, candid, and invaluable insights into our education system. Naturally, it's not a very comfortable situation for one to open doors for such critical scrutiny, because you might be surprised to have the spotlight being set on some of the aspects of your education that might not best represent you. But although there may be some reluctance to share spotlights on areas where we can do better, when the children's future is at stake, dear friends, it is necessary and it is imperative. On this premise, we in Ghana were excited to open our doors to UNESCO's GEM report, and we did so without hesitation. The report has helped us build the evidence base by bringing data and contextually relevant research to guide and inform our progress toward a fulfilling, thorough education for all learners. It represents a unique opportunity to transform our education system and to learn new solutions, particularly at the foundational learning levels. Helping every single child to learn is ambitious, but it is entirely possible and actionable. Over the last decade, Ghana has made great strides in advancement of our education system. We have transformed our secondary enrollment ratio all the way to 95% now since 2017 with the introduction of the free senior high school and TVET education, which jumped enrollment from 800,000 students to 1.3 million students in just a year. Between 2017 and now, we've had some 2.2 million young learners, particularly from hard-to-reach areas, having benefited from this policy. Excellencies, children are born to learn, and learning to obtain skills that will make them themselves agents for the transformation of our countries and ultimately our continent. And the kind of skills that will be able to surmount the current giant and complex challenges that face us definitely cannot be in the rote learning system, where a learner is required to just reproduce verbatim what the teacher has told them. This must call for reforms. This must call for transformation in every aspect of our education, particularly starting from curriculum development. We at Ministry of Education, Ghana, have transformed our curriculum from the primary to secondary and many aspects of our education having moved from the objective-based curriculum to the standard-based curriculum at the primary level and the implementation of the Common Core at the junior high, all to ensure that the learner is imbibed in them the critical skills that is required in our 21st century that will meet up the challenge of the fourth industrial revolution, the fundamental skills of critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving and communication are the dictates of the new standard-based curriculum we've been implementing. This way, our reform covered the school structure, the new teacher standards for teachers, and the new standard-based curriculum. And we did not forget that teachers are the agents of this transformation that we seek and also need to understand what is expected of them. The Spotlight report highlights ways that different countries among us are developing quality and teacher quality, and the importance of providing structured reports to both teachers and to school leaders. This is a journey that we have already started on. Over the last few years, alongside providing guidelines to teachers, we have also started weekly professional learning community sessions in schools in which teachers meet to discuss teaching approaches. They get a chance for open exchanges on ways to strengthen their pedagogical practices and implement more successfully the curriculum in the classroom. And the research shows that these communities are working together to enhance teacher practices. We are already seeing some great results. For us at the Ministry of Education, the success of this program is not surprising at all. And for all stakeholders, as a student, a teacher, a minister, the president, it is noble to speak openly about challenges facing our education systems and to listen to the experiences others can bring to the table, all in our efforts to drive the collective transformation of education agenda on our continent. Children are born to learn, and so do I humbly implore that we keep learning from each other too, in order to put in place the conducive learning environments and competitive education for all of our children. African countries will have just such an opportunity with the Learning Education Analysis for Results Network, LEARN, which was launched yesterday by the African Union with the Spotlight Report partners. On this note, I thank most sincerely ADEA for the opportunity to discuss the critical theme with you all this week. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deputy Minister John. I was trying to translate, there's a say in our language that I have had time to try and translate it, that is basically say, if you want to heal an illness, you must first accept it. So basically, I think the Minister, you're pointing one of the critical issues that may come out tomorrow again, this issue of data. Hiding data does not help to improve anything. And this is a serious issue that we are having. So we need to get the data, the accurate data, to inform any change that we want to see in our educational system. And I'm sure my dear Ovi will get back to this during her session. Thank you. So let me invite the African Union representative, Mr. Adumta. He's heading the Pan-African Institute for Education Development, to say a few words. Adumta.
Merci Albert. Honorables ministres, distingués invités, permettez-moi d'abord de vous présenter les salutations de votre serviteur, le professeur Mohamed Belochim, le commissaire en charge de l'éducation, sciences et technologies. Vous conviendrez avec moi que l'Union africaine est heureuse de contribuer à cet événement autour du thème crucial sur le fondement même de l'éducation. Je saisis cette opportunité pour remercier JMR et ADEA pour avoir organisé cette triennale sur cette thématique qui revêt une importance capitale pour la Commission de l'Union africaine. Les uns et les autres l'ont déjà dit, que tous les enfants qui sont nés doivent apprendre. Et cet apprentissage s'étend jusqu'au niveau des États, au niveau des adultes que nous sommes. Malheureusement, ce n'est pas ce qui se fait le plus souvent. Le rapport que nous avons lancé hier, que la Commission a lancé hier, vient au point nommé pour nous interpeller sur la nécessité de tirer profit, d'apprendre des uns des autres. Les conclusions de ce rapport, Spotlight, constituent une contribution à l'atteinte de l'objectif de l'Union africaine et des États membres. Cet apport est en même temps un outil très important pour les États membres de l'Union africaine à double titre. Premièrement, ce rapport est un élément très important qui nous incite à la solidarité entre les États, une solidarité qui nous pousse à progresser ensemble. Le deuxième élément le plus important que nous devrons tirer ici, c'est de comment aligner nos politiques, nos stratégies vers l'amélioration des apprentissages. L'Union africaine prend l'engagement de faire avancer cet agenda et nous avons hâte de poursuivre les discussions avec les uns et les autres. Et comme vous le savez, il est très probable que l'année prochaine soit dédiée à le thème de l'Union africaine, le thème de l'année prochaine soit dédié à l'éducation. Et je voudrais que nous puissions tous ensemble saisir cette opportunité pour que le mécanisme d'apprentissage soit véritablement un élément très important dans le cadre de la thématique que les chefs d'État et de gouvernement vont discuter l'année prochaine. Merci bien.
Thank you, Adumta. So it's now time to launch the report, and I don't see anyone else that could do it better than Madam Josephine. Josephine, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you, honorable ministers. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're really excited to be here to launch the Spotlight Report, Born to Learn. On behalf of our director, Manos Antoninos, I'd like to thank ADEA for the partnership. I'd like to thank the African Union, and of course, the Ministries of Education in the focus countries, and the various stakeholders who inputted and worked and provided case studies to inform this Spotlight Report. So the reason we're all here today is because there's this talk, and we've heard over and over how there is a present learning crisis. In reality, this discourse for Africa is not exactly correct. In our report, we find that the low learning levels we see in Africa today have in fact been present for generations. Commitments have been made, declarations have been signed, institutions have been built, but even then, learning levels remain low. The promise that we've made to our children has been broken. And this is why it's extremely important to shine a spotlight on foundational literacy and numeracy in Africa. We do so because it's important to know where we're going. It's also important to appreciate that much has been learned in the last 10, 12 years on this issue, and it also offers us the opportunity to learn from each other. With this edition of the Spotlight Report, 5 country reports were undertaken, and as well various case studies from 7 countries across Africa, and they inputted into the Continental Report. All the reports will be available today. Next slide, please. So I just want to, in the next couple of slides, share with you some key findings from the report, and some key messages. if you look at this slide, you'll see in the green is the level of students that achieve minimum proficiency. The purple is the students that complete primary education on time and achieve learning. As you'll see, the top of the graph is the world, and unfortunately, the bottom of the graph is the context for learning for African children today. And this is why we must urgently address the issue and also use the opportunity to learn from each other. What we find through the Spotlight report is that African children they're 5 times less likely to achieve basic skills than children elsewhere. And that's simply unacceptable. What the report offers us, since we know that there are interventions that have been tried and interventions that have been tried at scale, it offers us some lessons of good practice. I'd like to share a few of those here with you today to sort of encourage everybody to address these issues. What we put forward is that in order to achieve learning, there should be in place minimum conditions. In Africa, one of the key challenges is that 1 in 3 children receive school meals. Yet we know that having a school meal is important for attendance, and it's also important for learning. A good practice that comes from Rwanda is that the government is committed to providing a school meal to children in primary school and secondary school, and they finance this up to 40%. Next slide, please. Another challenge, when we talk about learning, another challenge is that 3 children have to share 1 textbook in Africa. So the idea that after all these years of investment, after all these years of working towards this goal, there isn't 1 textbook per child, then you'll understand why learning outcomes are low. And yet we know that children who have textbooks have a 20% chance higher of learning to read. In Benin, what they've done is they've established decodable textbooks, and they've also been able to address this issue of cost. Today in Benin, these decodable textbooks cost $1 per textbook, and that's pretty good. Next. Thanks. As well, because of our diversity, there's also a challenge. Just 1 in 5 children are taught in their home language. But again, there's lessons to be derived. In Mozambique, with their bilingual education program, it has led to success. Up to 15% of improved learning outcomes for those children in the bilingual education versus those children in the monolingual system. So that's something that has been tried to a great scale in Mozambique that can also be replicated elsewhere. Next slide, please. Now, there's such a huge expectation on teachers to deliver learning in the classroom, but so often teachers are not supported. What we find is that there is so much evidence. The evidence points from 8 countries at scale, success in training teachers, success in offering them structured support, success with providing them with teacher guides so that they focus their instruction on improving learning. This evidence is supported at a wide scale in 8 countries, so we're certain that it can be tried and replicated in different contexts. As well, you heard from the Honorable Minister of Ghana that peer learning in Ghana is working to help teachers improve their pedagogical practices. And just like with anything else, good leadership matters, right? So I'm stronger because I have a good leader, Manas, who helps me focus on the result of things. So in the classroom for teachers, they need good, strong school leadership to help them stay focused on improving learning. So those are some of the tools and the approaches that have shown to be successful for strengthening teachers who are a key ingredient for ensuring learning for our African children. Next slide, please. Now, my favorite, having grown up in Kenya, my favorite African proverb is, "A roaring lion kills no game." It's not enough to scream this from the rooftop. It's not enough for me to stand here and speak to a room full of educationists and honorable ministers. We cannot just talk about this. We have to act on it. Results will only come from our actions. And a key first step that countries are taking, including countries like Ghana and Rwanda, is by really articulating a strong vision for learning, by prioritizing it, by setting goals for learning, and by measuring outcomes to ensure that learning is happening in the classroom. In Ghana, the Gallup project is working through a framework by which they've also added national assessments at grade 2 and grade 4. Now, this is really, an important and a commendable achievement. Congratulations, Ghana. Because at present, what we find in the Spotlight report is that there's no data on learning for 2/3 of the children in Africa. That is surprising. And frankly, how are you going to plan without having learning data for 2/3 of your children? And where we also find that learning assessments have actually increased in Africa. So there's more learning assessments that are being carried out in Africa, but those learning assessments are then not being used to inform policy or to inform the practice of teaching or the curriculum, right? So we encourage you here, particularly the donors who are financing many of these assessments, to really make them available. Don't just sit on them. Make them available to the countries. Next slide, please. Our report, it's actually not ours now, it's yours, it's ours. Our collective report, Born to Learn, is not just about learning for children. It's also about learning. I don't want to hear my voice twice. It's also about learning for all of us. Now, we started with the focus countries in Ghana, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Senegal, and Mozambique for the first Spotlight cohort countries. For the next cohort, we've invited Angola, Mauritania, Niger, South Africa, Uganda, and Zambia to join. We believe strongly that bringing countries together so they can learn how others are addressing the learning challenges will really help us move forward to understanding what works and putting it into practice so that we can achieve results in foundational learning. We're really pleased with and welcome the peer learning mechanism, LEARN, that was launched yesterday by the African Union. Thank you very much. Please, that you can download the report. I believe you have a QR code on your tables or outside that you can access. And do join us. Don't just download it, please read it. And then also join us online with the hashtag Born to Learn. We'll close the event now with a video from our champions and as well some information on the campaign that we're rolling out with the launch of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. Thank you so much. There's a video coming out? Okay, great. Thank you.
Ocean. children are born to have an education, but not everyone gets the chance. I had to fight for mine. My education lifted me up to where I am today.
Children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. Therefore, they need to learn and be equipped with the skills and competencies of tomorrow's world.
All children deserve the chance to learn literacy and numerical skills in primary school. Still today, 1 in 4 children on our continent do not complete primary school. Only 2 in 10 children read well enough to carry on learning. This is a critical foundation to continue their journey through education and develop more advanced skills. But if children need to learn, governments do too. This is why the Spotlight Report is so important. It provides valuable insights on the latest approaches, helping improve foundational learning across Africa.
I am therefore honored to participate in this Spotlight Report, lifting up the message that all children are born to learn, and it is our duty as adults and leaders in government to ensure that they are given that opportunity to learn.
Join me to build on Africa's potential, because all children are born to learn.
Born to learn.
Thank you, Josephine. Thank you. Because I've just been reminded that it did not come quickly out of the presentation, but I'm sure in the reports, the issue of feeding, the school feeding program, that has a really great impact, on the quality of education, especially for these children. And I know in Rwanda, they had a great program on this, I'm sure in other countries, including Zambia. So this is something we need to take into consideration as well. Maybe it did not come out in your presentation, but it's so important as well. Thank you so much. Can you clap again for the ministers in here? Thank you, Justin, for 9. Back to you.